The library has always been an important and revered part of Wesleyan's learning community. Its rich history encapsulates the tradition and dedication to academics and values that our institution prides itself on. This is the story of the West Virginia Wesleyan College Library. The first library at WVWC was located in the seminary building starting in the late 1890s. The seminary was the center of campus, located just beside Agnes Howard Hall. This bare-bones reading room held a very small collection of books, approximately 1,700, and was accessible only with supervision from a select group of professors.
The original seminary, the West Virginia Conference Seminary, was a Methodist school, and it was basically one building when it was founded in 1890. And there was a small library of a few hundred books. It was fairly closed access. It wasn't an open room, so a faculty member or a student assistant would have to go in and let people into the room. It wasn't a library in the sense that we think of today, where people can come in and use the place to study or use it to. It was a very specific purpose and very closed access.
On February 4th, 1905, the seminary building caught fire. As you can see in this photo, students attempted to salvage books and furniture from the building by throwing them out of the windows and into the snow. While this did save much of the collection, and no one was injured or died in the fire, it was a huge loss for the school. When College Hall, now known as the Administration Building, was built in place of the seminary, the remaining books in the collection were moved to a large room on the first floor. By 1915, the collection had to be moved to a larger space on the second floor in the Education Department, as the collection included nearly 7,000 volumes. By 1937, this number had skyrocketed to 20,000 volumes. By the 1940s, it was clear that the school and the collection was outgrowing the small space. The college started seeking donations and funding to help expand.
Annie Myrner Pfeiffer was a devout Methodist. She was married to Henry Pfeiffer, who owned a chemical company, and they both lived in New York. They had no children, but they were fairly substantially wealthy, and so over the course of their life they invested heavily in philanthropy. They gave a lot of their money to Methodist institutions of higher education for various capital building projects, and one of the institutions they decided to give to was Wesleyan.
Construction on the Annie Myrner Pfeiffer Library began in 1950. This came on the edge of the end of the Second World War, when the newly passed GI Bill brought an influx of new students to Wesleyan. On October 24, 1950, the board and the Masonic fraternity laid the cornerstone of the building, which is still there today. President of West Virginia Wesleyan College at the time, William Scarborough, is seen here on the left, standing with other members of the college board at the construction site. The library was finished and dedicated on May 27th of 1953. Here is an excerpt from the original audio of the dedication ceremony.
The Annie Myrner Pfeiffer Library will stand as a lasting tribute to the memory of a great and good woman who believed in Methodist youth and who inspired others through her beneficence to expand and develop educational facilities. In making possible the erection of the library, Mrs. Pfeiffer's gift has created a building which will forever stand at the center of the liberal arts program and literally fulfill the object of the college motto, "Let there be light." The lamp of learning in Wesleyan and in West Virginia Methodist will burn more brightly because of Mrs. Pfeiffer's generosity.
By 1970, the library included over 85,000 books, including several collections such as the Library of Religion and the Kresge Reference Library. The college began planning to renovate the library, looking to expand the size tremendously to accommodate more shelf and study space. The original construction plan, seen in a markup here, involved building a large addition to the back of the building for a reading room and rooms for the humanities and communication departments. However, on the end of a long era of expansion on campus, the school chose instead to add a wraparound and make minor renovations to the existing structure. Renovations began in 1972. The front circulation desk originally featured a dedication plaque featuring the leaders of the Methodist Church. During the expansion, the plaque was relocated to the Martin Religious Center, where it can be seen today.
It was about $1 million project, and it added all of the part except for the middle of the the building. So all of the classrooms, the rare book room, the reading room in the back on both floors was added in the 70s because we had already started running out of space for what they needed. It's kind of like the town square of ancient times where people would all come together to find things and talk about them. So they were important for different reasons to different generations of students, because early on people just expected a few books, and then they wanted books and periodicals, and then they wanted books, periodicals, and recordings, and then the technology has changed. I was a library science major here in the early 70s. We would study was cataloging and reference and how to choose books and how to process books and many kinds of things of that nature. The program was great. As part of our degree, we actually worked one semester in every department in the library, so we would get experience.
As the years went by, the library continually evolved to meet the needs of the changing world of academia. While the library science major was phased out, technology became a larger focus and the library became a centerpiece of innovation on campus. In the early 1990s, the library replaced the card catalog with a digital computer program. Students and staff threw the thousands of now outdated cards into the air in celebration of the new era.
It's much easier to kind of cast a broad net and find information now using computer searches, keyword searches. It's much easier to find books and even to access books now. Previously in the library, you used to have a student employee go and get the book off the shelf for you. The stacks were not open to browse. So even that has changed in terms of the actual library operation itself.
Today, the Annie Murner Pfeiffer Library is home to 150,000 books, a wide array of research and catalog technologies, and unique book collections that set it apart from the average college library.
In terms of special collections, we have a number of very interesting collections. One is the Jones-Lincoln collection, which is, at the time of its donation, was the third largest collection of Lincoln-related material, we believe, in the country. It was collected by Charles Aubrey Jones, and so he basically spent his whole life collecting these materials, many of which are very rare, some of which Wesleyan is the only repository to hold. Others, we and the Library of Congress are the only ones to hold. So it gives you a sense of kind of the rarity of some of the materials in the collection. It's about 2,000 books and then a substantial amount of archival material, photographs, pamphlets, programs, things of that nature. And many limited edition books. There are also 2 Lincoln signatures in the collection that have been authenticated, which are sort of the kind of crown jewel of the collection.
Most recently, the library has received collections from the late poet Irene McKenney and the late history professor Bill Mahoney. The library plays an essential role in preserving the college's long history for new generations, as well as providing resources to students. The Annie Murner Pfeiffer Library's rich history and dedication to learning and community makes it one of the most revered and recognizable sites on West Virginia Wesleyan College's campus. This year marks the 125th anniversary of West Virginia Wesleyan College and 61 years since the Annie Murner Pfeiffer Library first opened. There will, no doubt, be many more changes as academia evolves, but the library will always be an integral part of this campus.